Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home. Before we get started with this review today, I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody who watched my last video. If you haven't seen it yet, it pertains to all these 4K reviews I'm doing, and it basically talks about why older movies can sometimes, and probably always will, look better in 4K than newer digitally shot movies. I go into a few things there, but it has almost 30,000 views in just under a week, and I think I gained like 1,000 subscribers. So huge shout out to everybody who watched that and all my new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do it, and it's a great time to check out the my previous video before probably you even watch this one. I'd say go back, watch that, and then come back to this review, and then you'll understand a little bit of what I'm going to get into here. So in today's review, we're going to cover Shazam, new 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Just came into the mail today. It releases next Tuesday, so it releases in about 4 or 5 days if you're interested in buying it. I will leave a link down in the description where you can pre-order this from Amazon, and if you do pre-order it through my link, I get a little kickback, which is always great. So Shazam, I'm going to get that right. Shazam is another DC movie, and it is completely different from other DC movies. You think about Justice League, Suicide Squad, even going back to Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman. Everything is very, very dark and gritty and kind of hard to watch at times, I would say. And I love DC Comics. I love the characters, and so it's been tough. The Nolan movies are obviously awesome, but the newer stuff, it's been kind of rough. And so Shazam kind of follows up nicely on the success of Wonder Woman, which is a little bit of a different look and feel, and then definitely Aquaman, which is a totally different look and feel, much more colorful, different tone to the movie. Shazam kind of builds upon that. It feels much more like a Marvel movie, what you'd consider to be sort of a funnier take on the superheroes, a little bit lighter, there's more color. It feels more like Marvel, and sure, are they sort of copying that formula? Yes, but it's giving these characters from DC a better chance to succeed and a better chance for us, like myself, who are big DC fans, to get more of these movies. And so with the success of Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and now Shazam, which did over $350 million at the box office, it's doing well. Are they doing Marvel numbers yet? No, but they're doing very well, so there will be sequels, I'm sure. More Batman movies on the way, stuff like that. So Shazam's in 4K, and if you watched my last video, you know I say go to IMDb, check out the technical specs. So I headed over there, and the most I could find out was that it was shot at 3.4K, so that's somewhere in between 2K, 4K, shot at a higher resolution than your 1080 sort of 2K image, but not quite 4K, and so already we're not going to get a true 4K disc here. And then I looked at the digital intermediate, and they didn't have any information on it. What that tells me most likely is that it is a 2K digital intermediate, especially with the amount of special effects that would go into this. And so, is the resolution over the Blu-ray going to be as big of an upgrade? Probably not. In this case, your biggest selling point, in my opinion, is the HDR, and the HDR is great. Certain aspects, like especially Shazam, the costume, right, of Shazam is super bright on the screen. The yellow kind of lightning bolt pops off his chest. The red is a very striking color. There are some scenes that take place at night. There's one in a convenience store, which actually shows off the HDR really nicely, because you have this sort of darker backdrop inside a brighter store, lots of color. I thought that was actually really impressive, subtly impressive. Obviously the action scenes and scenes with kind of the lightning going on and everything, very impressive in HDR. There's definitely a noticeable uptick over the Blu-ray when it comes to that. And HDR, again, is your selling point here. Why are you buying 4K? In my opinion, when it comes to newer movies, you're buying 4K over Blu-ray because you want the upgraded HDR, and you may get a better audio track, although in this case the audio is the same. So overall, from a resolution standpoint, is the 4K disc much clearer or sharper than the Blu-ray disc? Probably not to most people. If you did a quick side-by-side and you were standing 2 feet from the screen and, all that, sure, you can tell the difference, but where most people are going to sit, resolution's not the upgrade here, it's the HDR, and it is very well done. That is one thing I will say about the DC movies, even stuff like Justice League and Suicide Squad. The HDR and the color has always popped, even when they're dark. The HDR really helps with the black levels, and so again on Shazam, very well done. Warner Brothers did a good job with this one. Now the audio is a Dolby Atmos track, so that's also good. You're going to get that same track on the Blu-ray disc, so if you're mainly thinking about upgrading or deciding between Blu-ray and 4K for audio, you're getting the same audio whether it's Blu-ray or 4K. They're both Dolby Atmos True HD. I popped it on my new with my new Denon receiver, which is handling the Atmos stuff absolutely fabulously. I highly recommend Denon. It was super easy to set up, and it's been handling my Atmos system with ease, and everything sounds much better and clearer. The Atmos track is very good though. There are a lot of surround effects which are also very powerful, and it's hard to go wrong with an Atmos track. I mean, dialogue is clear, you get great height effects, you get awesome surround sound, everything is really well put together. This is a really good mix, and you know, that's the nice thing about new modern movies, is when you've got a modern movie like this, for the most part they're going to be mixed either DTS:X or Dolby Atmos, both of which are incredible upgrades over the typical 5.1, even your DTS HD 5.1, which is what the standard was for most of Blu-ray. Atmos is a huge upgrade. Now the packaging, you've got a pretty simple slipcover here. There is a steelbook that you're going to be able to get from Best Buy. Don't have that on me, but your slipcover is pretty simple. Got some stuff on the back. There is a little sticker on the front that says it talks about it includes a motion comic apparently. And then opening up the case here again, exactly the same front and back. You get the black 4K case. And then there is a little bit of artwork on the inside with the Blu-ray and the 4K. What's kind of interesting is the Blu-ray disc is much less see-through than the 4K disc. And there are some clear portions of this, but this looks like way more clear. I don't know if that's just the way the discs are manufactured. I've never really seen that before, but the clear portions of the Blu-ray disc are much foggier than the clear portion of the 4K disc. It's just kind of an interesting thing I noticed. Maybe it's the way the discs are manufactured. It probably is, just whatever material they're made out of. But it also has a digital copy, which will redeem in 4K. Now, special features. As it says on the front, there is a motion comic called Superhero Hooky, which is pretty decent. And there's actually more than 90 minutes of special features, which is great because studios have been kind of stripping down the special features. But with 4K discs and the amount of space on them, you can fit a lot of content. So there's an alternate opening and an alternate ending. Kind of interesting if you want to mix those up and get a different experience. Didn't love either of them as much as the original. Honestly, there's usually a reason why they're alternates and they didn't make the final cut. But there's also deleted scenes. There's a gag reel, which is actually really funny. There's some audition footage, which is also pretty funny and an interesting look into the kind of behind the scenes, how these movies get cast. And then there's an on-set featurette with Zachary Levi. And then there's a little bit of a backstory featurette on Shazam. Gives you some more context, especially if you're not familiar with the comic like me. He's not Batman, he's not Superman, he's not Wonder Woman, Aquaman. He's not one of those kind of major characters, and so it was good to get a look into some of the backstory a little bit deeper. Overall, though, I would upgrade over the Blu-ray if I'm deciding between Blu-ray and 4K. I'm going to go with the 4K here simply because of the HDR. It was a very noticeable improvement over the Blu-ray, and in my opinion, that's the reason to spend the extra $2 or $3. If you're going to buy the Blu-ray for $22, just pay the $3 extra, get the HDR and 4K for $25. If you are short on funds, though, the Blu-ray is still a pretty good release. You're going to get a little bit less with the color, but the resolution isn't going to be a big difference, and you're still getting the Dolby Atmos track and all the special features. So you can't really go wrong if you are stuck with the Blu-ray for whatever reason, but I would recommend the 4K in this case simply for the HDR alone. Again, that still continues to be the major reason why you would upgrade to this format, is it simply looks better because of the colors. It's not the resolution so much. Older movies, sure, there's a resolution upgrade where a movie can become much, much clearer and smoother and just sharper when it's going to 4K, when it's remastered properly in 4K. with these newer movies, you're still talking about a very negligible difference in resolution, in my opinion. So you have to worry about the HDR, and that's what you should be basing your buying choices on. Overall, pretty good release though. Shazam is a fun movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. It was a good, I had a good time with it. Has some laughs. It's different. It's different from DC. It's much different. It's different even than Wonder Woman and Aquaman. They kind of led the way for this, but this felt more like, you're taking this kind of obscure character, I'd say, in my opinion, almost like, say, an Ant-Man or Guardians of the Galaxy, and DC is finally figuring out, like, hey, maybe it's not all about Batman, Superman, and their backstories, which we've seen 100 times. Maybe we need something fresh. Zachary Levi was excellent in this. Mark Strong makes for a great villain. You'll know him from the Kingsman movies. He's a good guy in Kingsman, bad guy here. But really good movie overall. Solid HDR, great Dolby Atmos track. Pretty decent packaging. I honestly like the front cover. The steelbook's a little bit nicer, but you can't go wrong with the 4K with the slipcover. And so I'd recommend you go out and order this one. You can pre-order it now, like I said, by clicking the Amazon link down in my description. Or you can go to Best Buy, pick up the steelbook on the day of release. It's next Tuesday. Target, everywhere, they're all going to have releases out there. So there'll be plenty in stores. This is going to be a big, wide release. So that's Shazam. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Couple bits of housekeeping here before we go. Like I said, if you do want to support the channel, you can go down in the description. There are different Amazon links there. One will be for Shazam. Wow, I went the whole video without screwing that up. One will be for Shazam. The other one will be a 4K and Blu-ray kind of storefront, which I've put together with some of my favorite 4K and Blu-ray movies. If you buy through there, you help me out. And there are also links to my home theater seats, my display shelves for my Blu-rays, my receiver, my speakers, my subwoofer, my projector screen, all that stuff. If you do click on any of those links and buy any of those items, I get a nice little kickback from Amazon, and that helps me keep going with the content. Another thing you can do, and thank you to the person, I won't name you, who donated $10 yesterday through PayPal. That meant a lot to me. It was basically a thank you for all the content I've been doing. Really appreciated that. If you do want to just donate through PayPal, I have a direct PayPal donation link down in the description. That's another great way to help support me. Whether it's $1, $5, $10, $20, $100, it doesn't matter. It all adds up, and I appreciate it. And also remember to follow me on Instagram. We just ran a giveaway over there. So if you were following me on Instagram, you were able to participate in that. Unfortunately, I can't get every giveaway up on YouTube. There are some that are just too quick. They happen quickly. I have to post them on Instagram and get them up. So make sure you follow me on Instagram for all the latest news, movie news, Blu-ray 4K news, my thoughts on different things, my life in general, and also giveaways and contests like I mentioned. So that's about it for this one. Hopefully you guys go grab Shazam on Tuesday. I think it's well worth your money. It's a good effort from DC, and they're turning themselves around in the right direction. So definitely go support that. And I'm taking off for a vacation for a few days, so I'll be back with videos next week, a little bit later in the week. Until then, take care. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you later.